So Eckhart Tolle, Osho, Leonard Jacobson, Lama Surya Das, and so many other wise people have said the only living we actually do is right now. The past has already happened. The future will never arrive. Right now is all there is. And I'm filled with gratitude because you're here, in person and online, in my now. I'd like to start off by explaining 4 of the most important practices I can think of for a happier, more fulfilled life. First, there's compassion, both for yourself and for others. Then recognition, always recognizing that others have difficulties in life just like you, and to treat them as you would treat yourself. The next is allowing or accepting. Allowing or accepting things to be as they are in the present moment. And finally, peace. Peace of mind is the key to one's happiness. And I know that when I give you lists, they can be hard to remember. And what is my favorite mnemonic device? The acronym, right? So feel free to employ that. So you've got compassion, recognition, acceptance, and peace. The acronym is CRAP. So, I'm just saying, but seriously, like for real this time. For whatever reason, a particular book that I wanted to use as kind of a building block for today's talk, it went MIA yesterday. It has been there since I got it. And yesterday, poof, it was gone. And that's Buddha Standard Time by Lama Surya Das. Gone. So I went to my trusty little bookshelves and I plucked out a couple of others which drew my attention. And here I should note that most of the time our table in the dining room is more books than table. And that's much to the irritation of my family. My husband is nodding in the front row. And I should also note that I love them with every atom of my being, and I'm deeply grateful for their patient tolerance to my clutter and bookishness and general lack of organizational practices. So thank you. Now, before I dig into my talking points, I'd like to explain something to you about my books. If you came to our Wednesday evening service last week, you know that we spoke together extemporaneously and had a wonderful conversation, right? And this conversation sprung up around the idea of being in the now. And it was a conversation so big that we're collectively planning a 2-day intensive retreat based on it, probably sometime in late October, early November. And Mona requested after the elections. We will all meet it then. So get that on your calendar. But another thing you might have noticed at the Wednesday night service this last week is that if I speak without finding leaping off points or sorting my thoughts out on paper first, I struggle to find words to describe what I'm trying to teach. So I end up talking in circles or babbling or altogether forgetting the point I was trying to make when I started speaking. So yes, I use other authors and teachers as my leaping off points, and I put everything down on paper so that it makes some semblance of sense by the end. Do I know what I'm talking about when discussing subjects like these? Yes, absolutely. Can I articulate what I know without some kind of a framework? Yes, absolutely. But only if you're willing to sit with me for a few hours while I figure out how to make it make sense. So, until you've got a few hours to watch my mental contortion act, I'm going to keep turning to my books. Last Christmas, Eric and Polly Hawkins gave me a wonderful little book by David R. Hawkins called Along the Path to Enlightenment, 365 Daily Reflections. And the reflection for yesterday was on page 78. And it said, the question, What is the most serviceable presumptive view of the world for a spiritual student / devotee / seeker? Answer: presume that the world's actual purpose is perfect and fully known only by God. See it as neutral overall, but with the benefit that it provides optimal opportunity for spiritual growth and the evolution of consciousness. It is a school for enlightenment and the revelation of divinity, whereby consciousness and awareness reawakens to source. Thus, to pursue enlightenment in and of itself serves the world and God. Beautiful concept. It certainly makes sense, and it answers the age-old question of why am I here? But what does it mean when we do the thing this suggests? What it means, and you know what? I'm going to take these off because these shoes did not squeak until I started walking up here, and I'm hearing it. So now you can hear me and not the shoe. So what does it mean when we do this thing? What it means is that we surrender control. We talk about this all the time, but how do we do it? Now I want you to ask yourself and be really honest with yourself. Do you always trust that God is steering your life toward greater and greater good? That even when things get uncomfortable, maybe especially when they get uncomfortable, God is always working for you, never against you? Do you believe that? Show of hands. How many of you answered yes to all those questions? Okay, most of you. Which leads me to questions which may be a bit less comfortable. This is right in my face, isn't it? Now, these questions may be a bit less comfortable, and I am going to stall for a little bit because you need to get comfortable with the fact that I'm going to ask an uncomfortable question. But these are very important if you want to learn to fully exist in the now. If you believe God is always steering you toward greater and greater good, and that even when things get uncomfortable, God's always doing what's best for you, why do you get upset when things don't go the way you've planned? Why do you get upset when, despite your best efforts to be on time, you're running late? Why do you get upset when the ending you expected doesn't end the way you expected? The answer is simple. Control. If you believe that God is in control, then knowing this, try to assert your control within that framework. You're constantly going to find yourself fighting through life. And the more of your life you're going to spend inside your mind trying to plan and scheme your way around the life God's tirelessly working to give you. And when you're inside of your mind, you're definitely not in the now. You're not here. You're replaying the past or contemplating the future while the moments pass you by. We've heard time and time again from countless spiritual teachers and metaphysicians that all human control is an illusion, right? And when you look at it the way that we just did, it's pretty clear to see. But I want to tweak that. And you may not like it, but the thing is, it is not my job to make you feel warm and fuzzy, although I hope you do take some of that away. It is my job to try to teach you the most important stuff. And important stuff doesn't always feel fuzzy. I assert today that control is an excuse. At its most raw form, it is a reason you can readily offer to explain why you're not living from a place of love and service and compassion and joy and wonder and surrender and gratitude every moment of every day. It is basically telling the universe, I couldn't do all of those things because I was busy being busy. I was busy trying to do your job my way, right? So let's go back to that amusement park analogy I used last week. And to those of you who were here, I apologize for not digging as deeply as I usually do. There were Barnhart kids here, and since I knew they would be bored silly if I talked about boring stuff for half an hour, I took them to the amusement park and stayed in the kid-friendly section. This week, I am diving into deeper waters. Okay, so back to our analogy. You're at life's amusement park, and you're about to get on a roller coaster. Anyone been on a roller coaster that had like a steering wheel or something where you sit? I remember waiting in line for 3 hours in pouring rain to get on the Hagrid's Magical Creatures ride at Universal in Orlando a couple of years ago. And I'm going to say, totally worth it. The rider's seats on that ride, they're motorcycles with handlebars. So let's say that's the ride we're on. Here we are, we're astride our respective bikes, and the motors engage, and then we're off with a zoom. And it's fun, and it's fast, and it's exhilarating until you see a steep climb ahead, followed by an upside-down, twisty, potentially nauseating corkscrew spiral. And like many people, you really don't like it when you're turned upside down on rides. So you turn the handlebars of your bike in a different direction and the crisis is averted, right? Your Hagrid bike on the roller coaster at Universal will hop off the rails and go wherever you tell it to, right? No? So when that doesn't work, what do? Yes, you dig in, or you start planning other ways to avert the scenario from playing out, right? So should you hop off the bike? No, because even when it's going slow on that uphill climb, that's grounds for removing you from the park, and we don't want to be removed from the amusement park called life, right? So should you tell them that you're sick, and they've got to stop the ride before you all over everybody? Nope, they can't hear you, and even if they could, they probably wouldn't listen. So what do? Hang on. Notice something for a moment with me. Okay? We were on that ride already for a while, right? We were having a good time, and then we saw the thing up there. Everything was hunky-dory, and we were going. And I looked this up. The Hagrid's Magical Creatures ride lasts for less than 5 minutes. So let's say we notice that potentially scary bit of track up ahead about 2.5 minutes in. And that's when our minds kick into high gear trying to find a way around it. The mental gymnastics are exhausting, and goodness knows the closer that hill gets and the more frantically we try to find a way to avoid it, the less we're able to do anything about it. And then we're on the rise down through the spiral and fallen safely out the other side, relieved to have survived. Did all of our thinking do anything to help us? No. Did any of our plans result in our being able to avoid the path we were on? No. Did all of our thinking do anything? Yes. All of our thinking, all of our scheming and frustration, all of our irritation at the game designer and the park employees for not giving us another option, all of our worrying, our why me's and our no fares or our it's their faults, they did something, for sure. They made us all miss that magical creatures were passing by us. There was incredible scenery all around us. There was artistry of the set designers. I had to look back because I worded this well. There was the artistry of those set designers, and you can agree with me, if you've been to any amusement park, any of the big ones, it is artistry, right? You go through there and you can tell some creative genius went into that. So through worrying about that hill and that corkscrew spiral, we missed all of the incredible, magical wonder. All because we were convinced we could find a way to have our way. That's how many of us spend our entire lives, constantly and futilely planning and missing the magic. In Trust, on page 42, Osho says, trust knows no address. It is not addressed. Trust is an inner quality. If it is there, it is there. It is like you bring a light, you bring a lamp into the room. Now, the light will not fall only on the table, it will fall on the chair too. And it will not fall only on the chair, it will fall on the walls too. And on the paintings hanging on the walls. It will not fall only on the walls, it will fall on the floor and on the roof too. When you bring light into the room, light simply falls on everything that is there. So is trust. It is a light. If trust is kindled in your heart, then it makes no difference. You trust God, you trust Christ, you trust your wife, you trust your husband, you trust your son, you trust your friend, you trust your enemy. You trust nature, you trust death, you trust insecurity. In short, you simply trust. And it is through achieving a state of utter trust that we find ourselves finally capable of seemingly effortlessly stepping into the now. You've quieted that noise in your mind by surrendering control, so you're now able to hear that still small voice of the divine calling in everything around you all the time, because it is calling you, and it is doing that at every moment. It has never stopped. Every hour, every minute, every second, no matter how many days, weeks, years, decades, God is the one constant you can rely on. So why do we spend so many of our minutes and seconds and hours and days searching for a divinity which is always with us? In The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle says on page 31, the more you are focused on time, past and future, the more you miss of the now, the most precious thing that there is. Why is it the most precious thing? Firstly, because it is the only thing. It's all there is. The eternal present is the space within which your whole life unfolds. The one factor that remains constant. Life is now. There was never a time when your life was not now, nor will there ever be. The now is the only point that can take you beyond the limited confines of the mind. It is your only point of access into the timeless and formless realm of being. Have you ever experienced, done, thought, or felt anything outside the now? Do you think you ever will? Is it possible for anything to happen or be outside the now? The answer is obvious, is it not? He says, nothing ever happened in the past. It happened in the now. Nothing will ever happen in the future. It will happen in the now. The essence of what I'm saying here cannot be understood by the mind. The moment you grasp it, there is a shift of consciousness from mind to being, from time to presence. Suddenly, everything feels alive, radiates energy, emanates being. That last bit is where I was headed in the title of last week's talk before I decided to tone it down for the kids. And that was, I am is now. It was not a grammatical error. I know it sounds that way. I is am. No, I am is. Hey, stop for a minute and tell me who or what is the great I am? It's God, right? Okay, so with that thought in mind, we could reasonably assert that every time we start a statement with I am, we are talking about ourselves within the framework of God. So if we are able to truthfully say, I am fully in the now, what we are saying is quite literally, I am in God. You want to know what God looks like, feels like, what God is in every conceivable way? It's here. Now. It's not back there then, and it's not over or up there next week. Now. Always. On page 201 of Leonard Jacobson's book, Journey into Now, he says, a man was truly seeking God. I love you, he cried, but I do not know how to find you. Be still, replied God. Be silent. Be present. Look, and you will see me. Listen, and you will hear me, for I am everywhere. At first, it'll be difficult, for I am invisible, I am hidden, and I speak very softly. You must become silent if you are to hear me. You must become still if you are to see me. You must become vulnerable and sensitive if you are to know me. Surrender all your beliefs about me, for I am beyond belief. Do not try to imagine me, for I am real and cannot be imagined. Do not create me in your own image, for I am beyond all imagery. Be sincere, and you will find me, for I am love, and I am with you always. You cannot comprehend what I am like, so don't try. Just be present, be still, and behold, I am here. Isn't that beautiful? I invite you to join with me for a short exercise in coming to complete consciousness within the present moment. So please find a comfortable position to sit or stand in, whatever feels right to you. Everybody good? Now for a count of 3, inhale. 1, 2, 3, hold. Exhale for 3. And as you exhale, feel your body fully relax. Now, be where you are. Use your senses fully. Look around. Just look. Don't interpret. See the light, the shapes, colors, textures. Be aware of the silent presence of each thing. Be aware of the space that allows everything to be. Listen to the sounds. Don't judge them. Listen to the silence underneath the sounds. Now touch something, anything. Feel and acknowledge its being. Observe the rhythm of your comfortable breathing. Feel the air flowing in and out. Feel the life energy inside your body. Allow everything to be, within and without. Allow the isness of all things. Move deeply into the now. You are leaving behind the deadening world of mental abstraction, of time. You are getting out of the insane mind that is draining you of your life energy. You are awakening out of the dream of time into the present. Leonard Jacobson says on page 202 of Journey in the Now, God speaks. I am the one in the all. I am everything and I am nothing. I am the beginning and the end. I am eternal silence. I am peace everlasting. I am that I am. In me the truth shall be known. Through me all will be revealed. I am at the very center of your being. I am your foundation. I am your rock. Upon me you may build your Jerusalem. Be still. Observe. Listen. And intimately get to know God. You will be so surprised at the wonder of all that there is. Magic is real now. And that's right where it always has been. Thank you.